The storm came without warning. Above the ancient city of Virelia, black clouds churned like a cauldron, lightning cracking open the sky. The streets lay abandoned, silent except for a single figure racing through the rain. His hood was drawn low, his breath ragged. His hands clutched something wrapped in crimson silk, and whatever lay inside seemed to breathe. They said the oracle's voice had been silent for 300 years. Until tonight. The man darted through twisting alleys, his boots slapping against wet stone. Behind him came the sound of pursuit, shouting, steel boots striking in unison. But these were no ordinary soldiers. Their voices spoke in a language that had not been heard in centuries. Lightning flashed, revealing the obsidian spire rising over the city's heart. The same tower where the oracle's last prophecy had been spoken. When the sky drowns in shadow, one voice will decide the fate of all. The hooded man stumbled into the courtyard of the old temple, and there, in the shadows of the great bronze doors, a young woman stood, ink still staining her fingers. Leora, apprentice scribe, keeper of forgotten names. She stepped forward. Leora, who are you? What's happening? He said nothing, only thrust the silk-wrapped bundle into her hands. Hooded man, keep it safe. Don't let them find it, or him. His voice broke on the last word. Then, before she could ask, an arrow struck him through the chest. His body fell at her feet. The bundle writhed. Terrified, Leora pulled back the silk just enough to see a shard of polished stone, etched with a spiral that seemed to move of its own accord. The ground trembled. A voice, deep, mournful, and older than the city itself, whispered not into her ears, but straight into her mind. Leora, I am the last whisper of the oracle, and you are already too late. Her vision shifted. The temple walls dissolved, and she saw a battlefield under a dying sun. Men in armor clashed with beasts of shadow. In the center, a figure cloaked in white held the same spiral stone, bleeding from the palm. They will come for the stone. They will come for you. And if you fail, Virelia burns. The temple doors shuddered under pounding fists. The soldiers had arrived. Leora ran, through archives, through shadowed halls, into a secret tunnel whispered of but never seen. Behind her, the doors crashed open. The sound of boots thundered in pursuit, and in the darkness the voice followed her. Find the keeper before the shadow finds you. The tunnel beneath the old temple was a vein of darkness, carved centuries ago and left to rot. Leora's footsteps splashed in shallow pools. The sound too loud in the choking silence. She gripped the spiral stone so tightly her knuckles ached. Its warmth pulsed faintly, like the heartbeat of something alive. But she wasn't alone. The echo of pursuit followed, metal on stone, uneven steps, and beneath it all, a sound that wasn't human. The oracle's voice whispered in her skull. They hunt you. Do not look back. She didn't. She ran. At the tunnel's end, a heavy wooden hatch blocked the way. She shoved it open, stumbling into the cold breath of night. She found herself in the ruins of the old aqueducts, arches broken by time, moonlight spilling through their jagged gaps. The city's noise was far behind now, replaced by the restless wind. But the air here felt watched. He is near, the oracle murmured. Who? Leora whispered. The one marked to guard me. The keeper. And then she saw him. A solitary figure stood atop a cracked pillar, his cloak stirring in the wind. The moon caught the glint of his spear, and on his arm, faint blue light traced the same spiral pattern etched into her stone. He did not speak at first, only watched her. But before she could call out, movement erupted from the shadows. It landed between them with an inhuman hiss. Its body was tall but twisted, limbs bent wrong, eyes like pits in the skull. The hollow-eyed hunter. The keeper moved faster than thought. His spear pierced the thing's chest, releasing a burst of blue light. The creature crumbled into ash. Only then did he speak. Keeper, you have the stone. That means you have the oracle. And that means they'll never stop. Who are they? Leora asked, still breathless.
Keeper, not now.
We leave tonight. There's a path through the ashen hills, but once the shadow knows your scent, it never forgets. A distant horn wailed, a deep, metallic cry that rattled the stones beneath their feet. More shapes moved in the ruins, closing in. The keeper seized her hand. Keeper, run. And whatever happens, don't listen to the second voice. She didn't have time to ask what he meant. Because even as the oracle's whisper urged her forward, something else had already begun speaking in her mind. They left the last lights of Veralia behind them. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the crunch of boots on stone. The ashen hills rose ahead, an endless expanse of gray mounds under a cold moon, each hill like the burial place of some forgotten giant. Leora slowed as the wind shifted, bringing with it the smell of burnt earth. "What happened here?" she asked. The keeper's eyes stayed on the path. Keeper. A city stood here once. The shadow's first gift. The ground here was dead. No grass, no birdsong. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Then the oracle's voice stirred in her thoughts, softer now, almost reverent. "Ahead lies the path, but also the test." She opened her mouth to tell the keeper, but before she could, another voice slid into her mind. "He's not telling you everything, girl. Ask him about the mark. Ask him how many before you carried the stone, and how many came back." The second voice was nothing like the oracle. It was smooth, cold, and full of poison. She swallowed hard. "There's something—" "Keeper, don't answer it. Don't even think about it. You can hear it too?" "Keeper, only when it's close. That's why we have to move faster." The hills narrowed into a canyon, its walls scarred with deep claw marks. The cold here was different, sharp, almost metallic. The keeper slowed, spear ready. "Stay behind me." A shadow moved above them. Leora barely had time to gasp before a creature dropped from the wall, larger than the hollow-eyed hunters. Its limbs bent backward, its body covered in ash and bone, its head tilted with a crack, studying her like prey. The keeper stepped forward, spear blazing with light. "Run when I say. I'm not leaving you. You will. That's the only way either of us survives." The beast lunged. The clash of spear and claw rang through the canyon, the sound echoing endlessly. Dust rained down as the ground shivered beneath their feet. Leora gripped the spiral stone so tightly it burned her palm. The oracle's whisper sharpened to a cry. "If he falls, the shadow wins tonight." The second voice laughed softly in her mind. "Then perhaps you should let him fall." The canyon floor was a blur of movement, steel and shadow. The keeper fought like a man who had done this 1,000 times before, every strike of his spear sending bursts of blue fire into the night. The ash beast screamed, a sound so deep it rattled Leora's bones. But it wasn't enough. The thing was too fast, too strong. One swipe sent the keeper crashing against the canyon wall. His spear spun from his hand, embedding in the dirt between them. The oracle's voice cried in Leora's mind. "Now, child, take the weapon. End this." She ran to the spear, fingers brushing its cold surface, and froze. The second voice coiled through her thoughts like smoke. "Why fight it? Let the keeper die, take the stone, and walk away. The oracle will only chain you, girl. But me, I can free you." Leora's breath came fast. "You're lying." "Am I? Ask him about the others. Ask him how many stones he's kept." She looked at the keeper. His eyes, though pained, held no fear, only urgency. "Leora!" he shouted. Her grip tightened. She drove the spear into the ground between herself and the beast. Blue fire erupted upward, a wall of light. The creature shrieked and stumbled back into the shadows, melting into the canyon's darkness. Silence followed, broken only by the keeper's strained breathing. He picked himself up, leaning on the spear. "You didn't listen to it. Good. What did it mean, the others?" Leora asked, her voice shaking. He hesitated. "You think you're the first to carry the stone? You're not, but you might be the last." The oracle's whisper came again, softer this time, almost pleading. "Not all truths will serve you, child. Some will only break you." "I don't care," Leora said. "I need to know." The keeper's gaze was hard. "The shadow doesn't just want the stone, it wants the voice inside it. And every bearer before you was claimed." A chill settled into her bones. "Claimed? Their minds. Their will. The second voice you hear, it's the shadow's hand reaching for you. Once it takes hold, you're gone." Leora said nothing. The canyon stretched on ahead, but it felt narrower now, the walls pressing in. The keeper placed the spear in her hands. "From here on, you don't just carry the stone. You carry me too. If I fall, you finish the path. You don't stop. Understand?" She nodded. But in her mind, the second voice whispered again, soft, patient, unhurried. "You will stop. When I tell you to." The ashen hills ended as abruptly as they began. Before Leora and the keeper stretched a ridge of black stone, glowing faintly from deep cracks beneath its surface. Beyond it, the land fell away into a canyon so vast it swallowed the horizon. From its depths, an orange light pulsed, slow, steady, Like the breathing of something alive, the oracle's voice trembled within her thoughts. The heart of the shadow is waking. The keeper gripped his spear. Once we cross this ridge, there's no turning back. The second voice purred in her skull. Then why cross? Throw the stone into the canyon. Let the keeper fall. You could be free before the sun rises. Leora's heartbeat thundered in her ears. They climbed the ridge in silence, boots scraping against the jagged rock. And then they saw it, rising from the canyon's depths. A colossal beast of molten stone and shadow. Its shape vaguely human, but too tall, too wrong. Lava poured through cracks in its body, and its eyes were two blazing coals fixed on them. The ground trembled as it pulled itself higher, each movement a grinding roar. The keeper turned to her. When it comes for me, and it will, you run to the far end. There's an altar. Place the stone there and speak the oracle's name. Do not stop for anything. What about you? He smiled faintly. I've been marked for this longer than you've been alive. The shadow's hand, big enough to crush a house, swung toward them. The keeper met it with a spear of blinding blue light, the impact shaking the ridge. Go, he roared. Leora ran, the stone burning against her palm. But the second voice grew louder, urgent now. If you give the oracle its voice, it will bind you in chains you can't see. You will never be free. Turn back, save yourself. The altar came into view, small, ancient, its surface covered in spirals matching the stone in her hand. The ground beneath it cracked as the shadow's roar split the night. The keeper's voice shouted over the chaos. Now, Leora. She raised the stone. The oracle's whisper filled her mind completely, calm, clear, and warm. Child, choose. Between her fingers, the stone pulsed, one beat for the oracle, one for the shadow, and Leora realized the final whisper would not come from the oracle at all. It would come from her.